Hi everyone. I'm hearing myself. Okay, that should be better. How many of you guys are independent developers who wants to do PR all by yourself? Okay, that's plenty. This talk should help you. My name is Kirill Perevozchikov. I'm a director of White Label PR. We do international PR, mostly in the United States of America and the UK, for video games, premium titles, and some of our clients are Larian Studios from Belgium, Mail.ru from Russia, Deep Silver from Germany, In Exile from the US, and we have a Polish client as well, all in games. And here are some of the games we are currently working on. Now, for the last 5 years, I have been head of marketing at Larian Studios, working on this particular game you might have known. This is Divinity Original Sin 2. I also worked on the first one. And during both of these marketing campaigns for these games, we spent $0 on paid big advertising. The biggest part of the budget was always events and PR. And it's really no secret that in the gaming industry, PR is one of the most cost-effective ways to promote your game. Even this guy, Bill Gates, once said, if I was down to my last dollar, I would spend it on PR. And usually when you do PR, you hire a PR agency, and this will cost you. So the PR agencies, they would charge about $5,000 to $20,000 US per month, and that's the median numbers for English-speaking countries like the US and UK. And for this, they will get you a lot of services, actually. So they will tell you, okay, we will do a PR planning for you. We will hone the messaging for your game. We will create key messages. We will prepare communication. We will research your competitors, so we know what we are dealing with. We will train you for the interviews. We will ghostwrite blog posts for you. And when it's time to talk about the game to the journalists, we will be very proactive. We will approach them with pitches. We will write and send over press releases. We will prepare assets and press kits for you. And if the time of crisis comes, we will also help you with crisis communications and tell you what's the best way on how to approach the situation. And of course, we will measure everything. We will report on all the press clippings. We will measure the reach of the publications, the PR value, so you understand how much and how effectively are you spending your PR dollars. And when it comes to showcasing the game and doing presentations, we will also help you. We will train you. We will do press events with you, and we will be there to help you on trade shows. Now, this is really nice for bigger games and bigger companies, but if you're an indie developer and if you want to do everything yourself, it doesn't have to be that complicated. I will tell you 3 simple steps on how to get coverage for any game that is potentially interesting to journalists. But first, let's talk about PR. How many guys you know what PR is or understand the definition of PR? Do you know the definition of PR? Because the thing about the definitions of PR is that there's so many of them. I think even the textbook definitions, there are dozens and dozens of them. The textbook definition that I like is PR is managing reputation. So if your brand, your game, your company doesn't have any reputation, then PR is creating reputation. But it's also about managing it. But today we are talking about games PR. We're talking about more practical things. So for the practicality of this talk, I would give another definition, which is a really simple one. PR is talking to press and influencers. PR is getting coverage without paying for coverage. So it's organic coverage, it's earned coverage. And all you need to do to get publication is to talk to them. But how to approach this? Let's see. There's 3 steps that I suggest that you take to get your coverage for $0 spent on PR. First and foremost, you need to create a media list. And that's how PR agencies make money. They have huge media lists, they have relationships that they built over time with journalists, and they would sell you these relationships and these media lists on a monthly basis. But it doesn't have to be complicated for you, because you might not want or need to have a huge media list for your announcement. The good idea here is to actually find the people who might be interested in your game specifically, and find their contacts from public sources. A lot of American and UK journalists, and even press from France and Germany, they would publish their contacts on the profiles on the website that they write for, and a lot of them using Twitter. Twitter is really easy in a way that they would publish their email in the Twitter bio, and you can find a lot of journalists, freelancers, or staff writers who are on Twitter and have their contacts in the bio specifically for pitches and emails from publishers, developers, and so on. Yes, they get a lot of emails every day. It could be easily 200 emails per day, but they still want to hear from you guys, from independent developers, because they want their stories to be diverse, not only about AAA games, but also about the indie games that they like. That's why they will actually try to read all of that to find interesting stories. So once you have your media list sorted out, the next important thing is to send personalized pitches. And pitching is very important. This is the skill that everyone can learn, but it's the hardest one to learn. But if you want to learn only one PR skill, it should be pitching. It should be honing your message about the game, composing it in the right way, and sending it to the right person. And the third step in our quick zero PR tutorial is to organize a demo or an interview, preferably face-to-face, but remote is also possible. Because when you are a small developer and you want to show your game, it's a good idea to do it face-to-face, at least via Skype, or maybe during a press event or a trade show. So we will get over these 3 steps in more details right now, but I want to jump to pitching, because this is the most important part that even a lot of PR agencies don't get right and just spam people with press releases. So what is pitch and what is pitching? The pitch is a story you tell about your game, and this is not the same as an elevator pitch you would tell to your potential investor or publisher, because in games PR, pitch is something that you personalized. So the pitch is a personalized message you send to the media. This means that, sorry, there is work to be done, you need to do your homework. The readers determines the pitch. That means that you need to research what the person you send the pitch to likes, what he dislikes. You need to read his Twitter profile. You need to know him before you send him this message. This is how you make your message stand out. And if it stands out, if it's interesting to the person, then you get results, then they will agree to hear about your game more, to check out your assets, to watch your trailer, and then hopefully they would agree to schedule an appointment with you on a trade show or over Skype. This is some advice on how to write a pitch that works. First of all, you need to start from the headline, because this is the first thing that they will see when you send the message. It will be in a subject. And this is your first chance and your only chance to get their attention. If they're not interested in your headline, you're out of luck. They will skip your email or just send it straight to the spam folder. And once you get the headline right, and you can, of course, test multiple headlines, and you should test multiple headlines and multiple pitches to see how they work. Once you get this, keep it short. Keep it under 250 words, no more, because no one has time to just read the long ramblings about the game and about the developer and how great the game is and how many features it has. It needs to be short and personalized to the person you're sending it to. Finally, and the most importantly, don't use copy-paste. Copy-paste will kill you because press, they recognize it. They see that they've been fed the same message that any other press guy have received. It's just the name is different. A lot of biz dev people are using it. For PR, it's really obvious. They will notice it, and they will not follow up or reply to your email. If you are bummed about what to write, this is a simple formula that always works, and it actually also comes from startups and investments. You probably remember the startups that doing like Uber for cats or Airbnb for rich people. So this formula works for games as well. This is the game I'm personally very much looking forward to, Atomic Heart, and it's BioShock about Soviet Union. And of course, you think your game is much more creative than X plus Z, but for the sake of this particular pitch, you need to simplify it. If you manage to simplify your game that is X about Z, then it's going to be really easy for a journalist who only has 20 seconds of the time that he reads the message to understand what your game is about, if it's relevant to him or her, and then they would decide if they will write about the game. Before you send out the pitch, there's 3 things you need to really prepare and prepare it really well. First is English. Obviously, it's really good to have a native writer on your team. If he takes care of the script for your game, it's great. He can check the PR messages you send out. If you don't have a native person on your team, use software like Grammarly, which is still kind of better than using just Word or Google Docs. The second is really important, and this is collateral, which is your assets. It's a good idea to prepare a nice-looking assets and a good trailer before you send out your stuff, because then it will be the bottom of the funnel. PR is always limited by the assets. First, you get the message. Then the person reads your email, and then they will check out the trailer or screenshots or artwork. And if the trailer or screenshots or artwork are not good or absent from the pitch, they won't be interested. So it's really important to take your time to prepare your trailer, to make it look good and professional, and then attach it to the pitch. I recommend to use Google Drive or Dropbox. Do not attach stuff to emails so people's mailbox won't get too big. Lastly, tracking. This is how you track how people respond to your emails. Are they opening it? Are they reading it? Are they clicking the links? There are a lot of mailing software that will help you to do that. There's CRM systems you can use, and there's also BizDev software like Woodpecker, which allows you to follow up to the emails automatically, although I do not recommend to follow up more than one time, because yes, the person might have skipped your email, he was too busy to read it, but then if you follow up more than once, you start being a dick. And this is the hour of sending that we think is pretty much optimal if you want to reach the whole globe. This is 6 a.m. Pacific time, Los Angeles. It's 9 a.m. in New York. It's 3 p.m. in Krakow or Central Europe, and it's 2 p.m. in London. Using this time, you will be able to reach most of the journalists in their working hours. And if you want to focus specifically on the press in the US, which also makes sense because it's the biggest market for PR, then it makes sense to send it a bit later in 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 p.m. New York, but then you will miss out the European press who will be already out of the office. There are 3 ways of doing a press event or presentation after you hopefully get some good results from your sendouts. And let's get over quickly after each of them. So, press tour. The classical press tour is when you organize something at your office and you bring press over from different countries. They come over, you book them a nice hotel, you have a dinner with them, they play your game. Now, this is expensive. This is not a $0 PR. It requires a budget. The cheaper way to do it is for you to go to the press. Basically, you can book appointments at most of the US and UK publications and do like IGN, GameSpot, and PC Gamer in one day in San Francisco. It's also more convenient for press because they don't have to travel. And when they're traveling, they're out of office, they don't do the normal duties and work. And it's always a big decision for them to go somewhere to the press tour. It has to be a big game, a big title for them to travel. So if you come into them, it's different. You can also be on their video show. They have a podcast. They can invite you. So it opens up more opportunities, and it's also cheaper. All you need to do is to fly to California, where the most of press is located. New York also has some publication, but it's not as big. And you will get your first publications if your game is good. The second thing is even cheaper. It's trade show demos. You don't have to have a huge booth. You just need to have a laptop. And if your game is interested, if the press want to meet you, you can just do it in a hotel lobby with a laptop. If you're an indie developer, it's totally fine. They will understand. You don't have a big budget. Finally, there's a completely zero budget option, which is remote demo. And what we see that the more journalists, a lot of more press people and press folks are now based in different cities, not the big hubs like LA or California, but the smaller ones like Oregon or Washington. And they actually prefer to have the demo through Skype or through Twitch presentation. And you can combine this method as well. You can do a press tour, and then at the same time you can do demos for those who cannot attend your press tour. So just doing a remote demo of your project, of course you need to have a playable version that you can play and show to the press. But this will simplify things a lot and save you money as well. So here's my step-by-step guide that you need to do to get coverage. First, you create a press database. It doesn't have to be 1,000 contacts. All you need to do is look for the people who might be interested in your game. You need to actually read what are they writing about other games and understand how can you hook them with your project. Then you need to have this list. It could be 20, 30, 40, or just 50 at the top of publications. Doesn't have to be huge. Using public sources. They open their emails to everyone. They publish it online. They actually want to get good stuff from you. And if you deliver, they will be grateful and they will reply and you will start the conversation. It's also a good idea to fix the date for your presentation and interview before you send out stuff. Especially if you're talking about an event or a press tour, you need to know when it's going to happen to fix the date, not asking press, when can you accommodate us, but actually telling them, okay, this is a date we need to do. We can come to your office, we can show your game, our game. The second one is really important too, is preparing high quality assets. This will be a part of your hook of how you gain their attention in the email you send. This is trailers, this is screenshots, this is artwork. It's also good to include some bio information about the founders or lead developers. You prepare this, you make sure it's high quality, so they will see that you look professional, your writing is good, you are serious about what you're offering. The third one is personalized pitches and sending them over 1 week before the press event, if it's a local press event or a trade show. If it's a big trade show like PAX, it makes sense to send it even earlier, maybe 2 weeks before the event, because people get a lot of invitations on shows like GDC, PAX, E3, and you want to get them earlier so they still have some free slots. Finally, do a press event, presentation, or Skype interview, and wait for the publications to go out. And if they don't go out, there's always a chance that you miss some press. There's always a chance for you to try again, because the amount of journalists writing about the games is really big. You can easily go to step one. You can find new people you want to reach, and you can do it all over again with new pitches, with new assets, and this is how you get results. Again, I want to say and stress it once more that pitching is the most important thing you need to learn. To do all of that, everything else is not rocket science. And I really recommend this book. It's called This Is How You Pitch. It's by Ed Citron, the CEO of American PR agency, Easy PR. It's on Amazon. It's really short, and it will teach you better how to communicate your message about your product. And if you want to download the slides of this presentation, there's also a link right here. And this is my email if you have more questions. But now let's tackle questions from the live audience. Thank you. I'm not sure how this works, so I'll just give you a microphone.
So soon before the launch of your product should you start contacting press? What would be a good timeline?
So the question was, how soon do you need to contact press before the launch of your product? It's a really good question. What I would recommend is when you have a demo or an MVP that you're happy with, that's playable, that you show to some friends or testers, and you know it's fun, then it's a good time because you can create assets from this demo, and then you can show this particular demo to your to the press. And I think for smaller games, not AAA titles, short campaigns, about 6 months, are optimal. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for your talk. I wanted to ask you like a difficult question. I've been listening to GDC the last GDC this year, and they were talking a lot about Discord servers and PR in Discord and Reddit. Dream Daddy used memes and controversial themes to like highlight their game. Boyfriend Dungeon used love letters as emails, and Skullgirls hired porn artists to make a porn for them to like appear on Twitter. Don't you think that the methods you presented today become a little old, and the new methods like this interesting commercials and interesting PR becoming like more a big thing? Because yeah, you made a PR for Divinity and Pathfinder, but Divinity is a franchise I think 15 years old, so it's pretty popular already, and the Pathfinder is a global, worldwide popular RPG. So do you like realize that you had a head start and we as indie developers don't have this head start? Thank you.
So first of all, I think that these methods are definitely still working, and a lot of people, some people would say, okay, the PR is dead, the press is dead, let's just target some influencers, and this is the most important part. And they're missing out on publications because there's still journalists, they want stories, they want to get published. We also work with smaller titles, not only the big ones, and we still get good results from using these particular methods. But you're right, there are really interesting stuff happening right now on Discord. I also saw this talk on GDC about Discord service from Mike Rose, was really good. And I think this is more for the community building, community management. If you have zero budget for anything else, this is stuff you need to do, but don't neglect PR, because Mike Rose, who was doing this talk, he was also doing the PR for all his projects, and believe me, he got publications just sending out the same pitches to the same journalist and using his connections, but also to reaching out to new people who he doesn't know. So PR is the kind of foundation you need to do anyways, because it's quite simple, it's just time consuming. And on top of that, you should definitely do other stuff that is more attuned to your game. If you have a game that's unique and creative, you need to find out the same unique and creative ways of promoting it through other channels.
I have a question for you. You mentioned to avoid copy-paste, but of course when you are a small studio or even solo indie developer, it costs time, which you don't really have. So on which level customization you would recommend? Would it be enough, for example, just to mention the games this journalist like and then paste a pitch, because pitch is usually the same, and then 3 screenshots, so check it out? What would you recommend?
I would recommend to not have the same pitches. That's the thing. For some people, you need to highlight other features. For other people, you need to highlight how many players your game support. So this is about doing the homework, I'm afraid. This is about figuring out what the person likes and covers. And you can focus maybe on 10, 20 publications for personalized stuff, and for everyone else, you can still do a press release or a depersonalized pitch. It's still better than nothing, but I highly recommend, if you have time, to invest time in doing it. It could be a week of your time. Yes, it's time consuming, but it works.
Hi. So, what's your opinion on press hubs like gamepress.com? So that's a site that collects all emails, and they actually show their press, missing the word there, the emails the press gets there, they get posted on the site, so it's closed. But I guess it is a kind of way of seeing if your mail is also customized for you or just sent to everyone. But just using this as a base, like sending it to the one hub and then personalizing for your press that you want. So what's your opinion on that?
I actually had a presentation recently about the press hubs and aggregators, so I can show some slides on this matter, because this is a really interesting topic. We use them as well. So let me see. Aggregators, all right. So there are three that we use and we also recommend to use. It's GamesPress, Keymailer, and Vuvit. GamesPress, I would say, is the most old school one. It's been around for like 18 years. It's been developed by British guys who were receiving press releases via fax and, CDs and like floppy disks. So it's really old site. It looks old as well, but it's still really useful. So this is a good thing if you don't have a big database. You can just send it to GamesPress. It's actually free. They have this this address, inbox@gamespress.com. You send it there, and they will publish it. We roughly get about 30 to 50 views on a single press release at GamesPress, which is still worth doing, but you won't get great coverage from GamesPress. Just because there are so many announcements happening in a single day. But it's still good to use because it's free. Now there's also systems for influencers like Keymailer. Keymailer was the first one, I think, and it's now became a big junkyard of games. There's all kinds of porn games and hentai games there, and it's becoming really hard for influencers to find games that they like. They also don't put any limit on the games that you can request. So you can request all the games you like and then just hope and wait for the key. And there's also Vuvit, which actually better than Keymailer. It's also free for publishers, and if you pay extra, it's like $60 a month. You can get, you can approve requests. But the good thing about Vuvit is that they limit the request to 3 requests per influencer. So if you only request 3, you need to produce coverage before you can request more. And I also have this overview slide of how much they cost. So hopefully this can be useful, definitely. They all have a free mode, so I encourage you to use this free mode as well. More questions?
Hi. Now you're talking about zero budget on PR, but let's suppose you have low budget, like a small amount of budget. Would it be worth to invest on these companies that do the PR for you, despite being allowed only 2 months or so, or 3 months, no more? Or do you think if you're only be able to pay for that much, then okay, let's just use that to focus on something else and do it yourself?
Some PR companies are offering kind of a launch package, which would be just 1 month of work for your game when it's close to be out or almost out. That I think is worthwhile to consider, because they will send out your keys to the press and to the influencer. You will not get the effect of the full PR campaign that could be a 6-month campaign of building the anticipation for your game. But at least in the moment when you release your game and when people might be interested in checking it out, it's a good moment to hire someone to at least send out the version of your game, the keys, and play it. So that I would recommend. 2-3 months, definitely up to you, but definitely the launch package that some of the PR agencies have. We don't have it, for example, but the smaller ones, they do it. It's still worth money, I think.
Right. Any more? We have like 10 minutes left. One more. Oh,
One more question.
Hey, you've said about personalizing your emails, but on the other hand, you said about tracking your emails with some tools like Woodpecker, right? There are some other as well, but they usually wrap the links, and some people said to me that people don't like wrapped links because they feel tracked, and they will automatically think this is spam. How does it work for you?
It's a good point. I think there's a flexibility here, and there's balance here of what you want to do. For instance, I don't think personalized links are bad because you can use a link shortener like Bitly to track the clicks, and that looks really friendly and organic. On the other hand, tools like Woodpecker, they are definitely were developed for a more automatic approach for basically spamming people with BizDev requests. And the way we use them is because the tracking solution is really good. So we can see if the person has opened the email. And then he can open it again, you can still get the notification. And this is how we actually decide if we follow up or not. So let's say a person opened the email 3 times, and he's probably on the fence. He's just about to decide to go or not. Then it's a good moment to follow up and see, hey, have you made up your mind?
All right. Any more questions? Or okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Round of applause for him.